Hello, America. Welcome to another presentation of Under the Macroscope. Today, I want us to take a closer look at the question, are Black Americans really proud? The very famous singer, Mr. James Brown, released one of his biggest hits some years ago, entitled, "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." The lyrics basically proclaim that Black people in America have worked hard, but received little to no recognition or reward for those often demeaning and life-threatening labors. He indicates that the day has surely come for things to change. Black Americans must rise up and demand that we will no longer quietly go along with being blatantly neglected and rejected, but will strive with undying tenacity to make our own way. I, along with so many others, Black and white, danced to Mr. Brown's song. But did we really understand what he was saying? Did we really understand the depth of all the blood, sweat, and tears that we sing about in Lift Every Voice and Sing? The blood, sweat, and tears that still drive our quest to be free? I sincerely believe that there are those of us who did and still do understand and are still working diligently to that end. However, I am grievously dismayed at so many of us who never understood and are not interested in becoming involved in the struggle for freedom for all people. I've been watching and waiting to see what happens at the end of each February for a number of years now. The scenario seems to always play out the same way each year. During the designated month for the observation of Black history, there appears to be a very visible sense of pride that is not seen in the Black community during other times of the year. Even white entrepreneurs and other, quote, sympathizers pay homage to Black history. But after all of the hoopla is over, much of the attention subsides, and we don't hear as much about George Washington Carver or Fannie Lou Hamer, AR, unless some, quote, special event just happens to come to the forefront. Not that often, though, that makes brief mention of Black contributions to American society. This attitude is quite similar to what I call the Christmas phenomenon. During the Christmas season, some of the meanest and nastiest and vilest people will be caught doing acts of, quote, kindness that go completely against their reputation for being the Grinch of Grinches. If you say anything to them about their, quote, good deeds, their response is almost always, "Oh, what the heck, it's Christmas." And then a couple of days after Christmas, they go right back to being their nasty selves. We can chuckle at that scenario, but our laughter fades when we realize that something as important and necessary as Black history is treated many times by Black people as some passing insignificant fad. It is quite clear that too many of us have become complacent because we have a nice job, a nice house, a fancy car with all the gadgets, and it looks like we have, quote, made it, whatever made it is supposed to mean. There are still those, many of whom we work, dine, and play with, and live next door to, who do not want us to enjoy any of the privileges that we worked so hard to establish and are still working to maintain. I've talked to so many Black Americans whom I refer to as inanimate imbeciles who simply refuse to register and vote after so many warriors for the cause, both Black and white, fought and died for a privilege that no American citizen should be denied. Many of these inanimate imbeciles claim to be college educated. Go figure. They are miserably blinded to the many obvious efforts of some of their, quote, buddies, some of whom look just like them, to strip them of everything they like to brag about. I've heard so many of these inanimate imbeciles brag about being the, quote, only Black in their department or the only Black on a particular street in a certain neighborhood. Let me suggest to those who think that they have, quote, arrived. When you are sitting behind that mahogany desk, leaning back in that Naugahyde chair, or when you pull into your garage at that huge fancy mansion and shut off the engine to that fancy ride, if you cannot see the sacrifices of Fannie Lou Hamer, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., just to name a few, and appreciate those efforts enough to die trying to preserve them, then stop telling people that you are the only Black and tell them that you are the only fool in your department and the only fool on your street. You are definitely a fool because you have given away the dignity and integrity that so many of your ancestors, although many of them could neither read nor write, passed on to you, and you do not have sense enough to value it. Just another Mackian observation. Thanks for listening. Follow me on YouTube at Mac McRae under the Mackroscope. Please subscribe and share, and if you wish, you may make a contribution of your choosing by using the QR code on the screen. You may also write to me at Mac McRae, P.O. Box 403, Pineville, North Carolina, 28134. See you next time, and remember, under the Mackroscope, we take a closer look.